open phones for you, but we're going to start out talking about something that at least I didn't realize was as severe a problem as it is. We'll tell you about that in a moment, but first let me introduce our guest this morning, because he is the executive director of the Tobacco Law Enforcement Network. For more than 27 years, he was a special agent in the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. We call it ATF, and had an illustrious career with them. He also now teaches master-level courses in executive law enforcement, but he is the executive director of the Tobacco Law Enforcement Network. We say good morning to Rich Marianos. Rich, good morning to you.
Good morning, Art. Thank you for such a great introduction.
That's all right. Thanks for being with us today. I relate to you because my late father was a special agent in Treasury, so I'm a how can I say it, a government brat. So
yeah, no, I understand. We're brothers in arms, buddy. A lot of the same work that your father and myself did to make this nation a better place. So my hat's off to your family and all that they have done also.
And to you too. So I guess, my first thought when I learned about the Tobacco Law Enforcement Network, I had to ask myself, why is it that big a problem? And the reason I say that is we can go into any store and buy cigarettes. I mean, they're vapes, cigarettes, they're all over the place. So explain to us what the Tobacco Law Enforcement Network does and why it's necessary today.
It's a great question, and I appreciate, looking at it through those eyes, because if you would have asked me 30 years ago if I would be talking about something like this and considering it such a threat, I would have laughed at you. I was a guy that went after gun carriers, trigger pullers, gangbangers, and armed stick-up men. But as my career progressed, we looked at those that are using tobacco products for nefarious means. And specifically today, what I want to talk about is these vape products that are being manufactured in China, smuggled into the United States to these warehouses, and then distributed to these vape shops, these smoke shops, that are nothing more than licensed crack houses these days, carrying guns, laundering money, selling narcotics, and in addition, under the front of a vape store in which 100% of their product is contraband under federal law.
Well, then why are they open?
Well, it's a great question, because only recently was the FDA and law enforcement, or federal law enforcement, given the ability to go after some of these places. And many of the states need registries. And what I mean about a registry is to put the products that are allowed to be sold or registered under the FDA as a product for tobacco harm reduction, and then the other thousands of products that are illegal manufactured in China. So there is a small percentage that are legal for the right things, getting people away from cigarettes, but these criminal shops have taken complete advantage by selling these illegal products. And it's kind of a difficult situation because you have legal products mixed in with illegal products being sold on the streets.
And is it fair to say that the target audience is a younger audience?
Oh, it's extremely fair to say, because there's been over 1,000% increase in young adult use in the last 5 years, which is, I consider, an epidemic. And 86% of the people polled in a recent survey said that this is one of their biggest concerns. And these is people in the community, teachers, parents, law enforcement, that these vape shops and these vapes are causing more problems than ever before. But again, what we need to see is it's time for the state of Michigan specifically to pass this directory, to pass this vape directory, to help law enforcement to go after these unauthorized products. Because the sooner they come up with a list of the bad products under state legislation, the easier it's going to be for cops to go into these locations, to seize the narcotics, to seize the illegal vapes, to go after the money launderers, and put these once licensed locations out of business.
So I have to ask, I mean, is there not a list of what's legal and what's illegal today? Is there not, for example, a federal registry that shows that product X is okay, product Y is imported from China and not okay?
There is a list on the FDA website, which has the 40 different products that are legal, or registered under federal law, but everything else is illegal. The problem is local law enforcement cannot enforce federal law. So that's why these registries are so important in the states. And that's why it is so important for Michigan to make the overtures for the politicians to get involved, for your listeners to push the politicians to pass these laws, so all law enforcement can go after these shops. To be frank, and let's be honest, there's not enough FBI agents, ATF agents, or FDA agents to go after all these locations.
Right.
There's way too many of them. You can't swing a bat in a neighborhood without finding a bunch of vape shops. And they're popping up more and more and more and more, even in an economy in which brick and mortar locations are closing all over, whether it's a sports store, whether it's a clothing store. And why is that? It's very simple, because of the amount of money they're making. China is making over $300 billion a year on the backs of our kids right under our noses. And we have to understand that they're our number one threat to national security.
If this stuff is illegal under federal law, how are they getting it in the country?
Smuggle. They smuggle it in. They smuggle it in through traditional means, whether it's boats, whether it's airplanes. We have to be cognizant that national security is one of our number one threats in terms of we are always looking for biological threats, nuclear threats, narcotics, guns, and we can't inspect every crate, every shipment that's coming in, and that's the way it gets in. The ports are doing a good job, and they are identifying these products, and Customs and Border Protection are seizing them daily, but it is coming at such a huge rate. You have to understand, $300 million a year they're making, so you can imagine the flood in. It's just like narcotics. You're not going to stop every boat. You're not going to stop every narcotics runner. It's going to come in. So we need to take this approach on the other side by going after the shops and disrupting the sale on our streets and in our communities. Making these vape shops and these smoke shops a bad thing, and understanding that the mom and pops or the convenience stores that are selling tobacco harm reduction are okay. They're doing it for the right reasons. But the other ones are a criminal enterprise and need to be handled aggressively.
It almost sounds, I mean, if there's that many vape shops and they're selling this product, it must be a pretty healthy distribution network under the table somewhere along the line.
Oh, it's a huge distribution network. Just this fall, the Attorney General, along with RFK Jr., did a press conference on a warehouse in which was hit in the Chicago area, a huge Midwest distribution center, in which they took off $200 million worth of product. So it gives you an idea of how much is getting in and where it's going to when we're hitting the middle of the road distributors. Yeah. And again, this warehouse was not a legal entity. It was all illegal products, pushing it on the streets to illegal retailers.
All right, Rich, I've got to take a break here. We'll be back in a few minutes with you. We're talking to Rich Marianos. He's Executive Director of the Tobacco Law Enforcement Network. More ahead here on The Art Lewis Show.
Hi, this is Greg Reamer, and on behalf of
on 100.5 and 790 News Radio WSGW.
And we are back with you here on the Art Lewis Show, talking to Rich Marianos, Executive Director of the Tobacco Law Enforcement Network. So, Rich, I have to ask, I know that federal law governs a lot of these products, but don't states license these vape shops? I mean, in Michigan, I'm pretty sure they have to have some kind of license to operate. Doesn't that give states some authority?
It does, and we can go in there and take a look, but you cannot seize the product, nor can you hold anybody responsible if it's not in the registry or it's not in violation of state law. And that's the importance here with Michigan, is if they pass, and I hope they will, and I say my prayers that they understand how important this is, but if the registries get passed, it does give law enforcement the ability to go in these shops, make the seizures, take away these licenses, and move on. And that is a key to Michigan's problem right now in terms of building that strong community environment that we need between the police, law enforcement, and the police, schools, and the legislatures.
So unlike, for example, cannabis shops, which are everywhere because we passed recreational marijuana in this state, where the state does have some control, they don't have that same authority on the tobacco side.
No, not on the vape side, not yet. They don't have that authority, and that's the importance of this registry. And that is the importance of why I plead with your listeners to reach out to the politicians, their representatives, the officials that make decisions, and say, hey, look, we need this registry passed. We need to get these products out of the hands of our children. We need these smoke shops and these illegal vape shops to be unlicensed, to be taken out of our communities. Those that are in possession of narcotics or in possession of guns or selling that illegal cannabis as you're talking about to be arrested. And we need to take action because deterrence works. And what we need to understand is it has to be a two-front war in which federal law enforcement takes on the high-value targets that are working in concert with the Chinese government, and local law enforcement is able to go into these shops, take those licenses, take and put chains on the doors for those people that are involved in selling those illegal products, and make the community a safer place.
So let's talk just for a minute. Explain the dangers of these Chinese vapes coming into the country compared to the ones that the FDA said, okay, these 40 are okay. What is it about these vapes that makes them so dangerous compared to the ones that are approved?
Well, I'll give you an example. I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you as I hold one right here, it's called a heavyweight. It has 1,000 puffs of peach mango that's marketed on the internet for kids by a Chinese company out of Shenzhen, China. It has made in China all over it, but it is not looked at through the eyes of the FDA or through the important standards of what can be sold for that tobacco harm reduction. Those products that are on that list that are regulated by the FDA were designed to get people away from smoking, which we all know from the 60s that's bad. These products, there is no regulation. They're, 1,000 puffs, that's like consuming a carton of cigarettes of nicotine that some of these kids are doing in the summer when their parents are both, because of the economy, they're both working. You know what I mean? Everybody's trying to make ends meet. So you can just see the dangers with the amount of nicotine that are in some of these things and the unregulation. No one knows what could be in these things because they're not tested and they're not designed for the original purpose of a vape.
So it becomes, in a way, a public health crisis.
It's a public health crisis. It's a law enforcement crisis. It's a community crisis. And that it's an epidemic right now, and that's what's important to understand. And your listeners, numbers can't lie in a poll where 86% of your community finds this as their number one concern, where 73% agree that these vape shops and these smoke shops need to be handled with law enforcement. And 78% want, especially in Michigan, greater legislation and monies to support law enforcement and a registry to prohibit these products being sold on shelves. It's a great bipartisan effort to make the world a better place right now.
How many states have actually done this?
They change every day. You know what? I'd be dishonest if I gave you a number, because in Arkansas, in the spring just came around and they signed a legislation. But we're looking at an example. Michigan needs to pass a directory. Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. There's places that are changing every month as the legislators go in. But the idea is to get a nationwide registry in which the states are all following to enforce these illegal shops.
Are you an optimist?
Yes, I'm very much an optimist, or I would not have set this law enforcement network up, because I believe if we get after this initiative with a proactive or a preventive intelligence strategy, we can begin to change the tide. We don't want to be in a situation where we were in the 80s, in which narcotics just took over completely. Cocaine and crack cocaine was an epidemic. This is an epidemic, but it's something that we can control with, because we know where it's being sold, we know who the enemy is, and we have a strategy right now to stop it. Now we have to get the monies to law enforcement, and we have to get political support and community support to everywhere you look. These street corner vape shops or these strip mall vape shops are bad. They're illegal, and you can't hide in plain sight.
It's interesting, maybe even contradictory, that in Michigan, where you cited a poll where a lot of people feel this is a major problem, they also voted to establish recreational marijuana and cannabis shops, and they're everywhere. It seems to me to be a real contradiction.
There's contradictions all over, but specifically with this initiative is the contradiction that aligns here is simple: the difference between the mom and pop shop and the illegal vape shop. But really, there isn't one. The mom and pop shop, the convenience store, sells a regulated product. These shops are involved in criminal activity. So they may be considered, oh, wait, they sell vape. Oh, wait, they sell tobacco. Take a look at what they're selling and how they're doing business. And when you do, there is no contradiction.
You had just answered my next question, because I wondered, for the consumer, if you go into a vape shop, how you would determine whether that shop is following the law or how they're selling contraband, how you'd know.
Well, I don't want consumers to go in and play police.
Right, I agree with that.
But what I would add, if you are a consumer, you need to look at the locales or this places that sell those regulated products. Take a look at the FDA list and understand what is legal, illegal, what is regulated and what's not regulated, and discern what you're going to use through that method.
Yeah. Well, Rich, is there a website people can follow along and get more information on this?
Yeah, we've created a website. It's www.enforcetobaccolaws.com. It provides information from our network, which consists of law enforcement executives, police detectives, school resource officers, teachers, counselors, and it's designed to help communities, schools, law enforcement, legislators understand what the issue is, what the problem is, and gather whatever information they may need. We're here to help, because what we don't want to see is this get out of hand like crack did or narcotics did in the 80s.
Well, listen, I want to thank you for your time this morning, and thank you for your work, and thank you for your service over the many, many years at ATF. And pleasure talking to you. Maybe we can do it again sometime down the road.
Love to, Art. It's a pleasure, you giving me the time and spending time with you. Have a happy holiday, and I hope your listeners have a safe holiday also. Thank you.
Same to you, my friend. Take care now. Bye-bye.
You too.
Rich Marianos, Executive Director of the Tobacco Law Enforcement Network. We thank him for joining us today. Open phones for the remainder of the hour, 989-752-6111. Let me talk about Krizak's House Family Restaurant, best place to go for your authentic home-cooked foods with a European flair at reasonable prices. Now's the time to think about getting together with friends and family for lunch or dinner, as well as events coming up soon. Graduations, confirmations, weddings, showers, anniversaries, whatever it is, Krizak's has an economical way for you to supply the food. You can order what you want in Polish and American foods and then just pick it up at the restaurant ready to go. Or have your celebration right there. And don't forget, at a moment's notice, Krizak's can help. Call them at 989-894-5531. Krizak's House Family Restaurant, corner of Cass and Michigan on Bay City's south side.
Hi, I'm Katie.
All right, we're back with you here on the Art Lewis Show. Open phones for the remainder of the hour, 989-752-6111. We've talked quite a bit about EVs, electric vehicles, on the show over the last couple of years. And what is really interesting is, and I've always said, the market drives what happens. We are seeing that now, and a perfect example of it is the Ford Motor Company, because the Blue Oval is going to be shifting its strategies and is now turning its attention to what are called, and I love the use of initials, EREVs, Extended Range Electric Vehicle. Translation, hybrid. That's right. Ford is moving to a hybrid world, a vehicle that uses electric motors and batteries, but also has a gasoline engine which acts as a generator. This eliminates range anxiety, improves your fuel mileage, and is the best of both worlds, and I've been saying that for a long time. So, what does this mean for the future of the EVs? Well, Ford is still going to produce the Lightning pickup truck, but it's going to become an EREV, and a hybrid. And new vehicles that fill into the electric slot will be hybrids. They are not alone. Toyota has been doing this. And so consequently, Ford, because they put so much effort into the Lightning and sold quite a few of them, it's not going to get the axe. But it will return as a new EREV hybrid. And it will also help because it might reduce the Lightning starting price using the new extended range tech. So keep your eyes open because the EV world is changing. Let's talk to Fred in Sanford. Good morning.
Good morning, Art.
Morning.
I would just like to change it over a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been retired out of the military for 33 years, and I've heard some people worry about the VA hospital and stuff. I've been going there for 33 years, and I've had great service. And I'd just like to tell all the ones at the VA hospital and their out clinics to thank you and Merry Christmas.
Well, I have a couple of thoughts on that. First of all, thank you for your service. And secondly, I am glad to hear somebody call up with a positive story about these very, very important institutions. I think I have said many, many times, there are no people on this earth that we owe more to than the men and women who put on the uniform and protect us every day. And the VA hospitals are an important part of that process. I'm glad to hear you have had great success with them. I am also glad that the VA a number of years ago got their act together and straightened out those that weren't doing the job well. So I'm thrilled to hear that good news.
Well, I always had a good time or service at the VA hospitals in Michigan. I can tell you that.
Well, that's wonderful. So I hope you and yours have a very, very Merry Christmas. And again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your service for all those years.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir.
Fred, thanks for calling. Bye-bye now.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Isn't that nice to hear every now and then, huh? You get so tired of the, oh, this is bad, this is wrong, they're bad. Somebody calls up and said, what a great organization I've had to deal with. That does, something positive. Fred, thank you. You have no idea how much that means to hear that. Not only to me, just because I'm a huge supporter, but to the men and women who served, who want to know that VA hospital is there to help them. So thank you very, very much. And at this time of year, we think of the men and women who are in uniform, won't be home for Christmas, so that we can have a good holiday with our families. We think of them and we keep them in our prayers. All right, take a break, and we will be back. A few minutes left. Time for you to give us a call, 989-752-6111.
In this year of
our phones, head down to St. Charles and talk to Tim this morning. Tim, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Yep. I'm just calling to let you know I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I go to the Saginaw VA, and it is definitely the best. They have changed, and they're great, and they've taken good care of me.
Well, it's good to hear.
I've been battling stage 4 cancer,
Oh.
and they've been right there by my side. And since I done it, I started my cancer in 2014, and went through it, And I go every 6 months for checkups, and they've treated me well.
Wow, so you've had stage 4 and you've survived 11 years on it. Congratulations.
Yes, I had a great doctor in Saginaw, Brian Perry, ear, nose, and throat doctor, found it. I had it in my tongue, my lymph nodes,
Wow.
my liver and right kidney. And I'm one of those Camp Lejeune guys that I got a letter from the President Obama, and told me to go get checked. I probably got cancer, and I went and got checked, and I had stage 4 cancer. Didn't even know it.
Wow. Well, first of all, our prayers are with you, and we are glad you're doing better. And thank you much for your service.
Yes, sir. Yep. And I just want to let you know that the VA is great.
Well, I'm glad to
I
hear
know
it.
people say bad things about them, but if they don't go there, they don't know.
Right.
It's a real good place, and they take care of you.
Obviously, you're living proof of that.
I am living proof.
Very
Yes,
good.
sir.
Tim, thanks
Thank
for
you.
sharing, and have yourself a great holiday season. Merry Christmas.
Yep, you too.
Thanks
Bye.
a lot. Bye-bye now. Listen, I'm glad to hear that. The stories coming forth that are more than the negatives we always hear. It's just nice to know that that there is good out there, and that some of the institutions which over the years have taken a bad rap, and the VA certainly brought on some of it themselves. Not so much around here, but in some of the other places, Arizona notably, in a couple of VA hospitals that were not doing what they were supposed to do to help our veterans. It's nice to hear that there are